What if I told you that there's a category of American urban centers that are not cities or suburbs? Introducing the Anerican Edge City. You're like, what is an edge city? Well, an edge city is basically an urban area that initially started out as a suburban area and became economically self-sustaining enough where it could economically sustain itself separately from the original core city if it reached that point. This concept was actually first mentioned in a book by author Joel Giroux, who was a demographer, I think is how you pronounce that. He wrote a book in 1991 called Edge City, the Edge of the American Frontier. And this is where he describes some of the areas that he thought either were edge cities or were ripe to become them. An edge city is not necessarily an incorporated city in and of itself, although a lot of them can be, or some combination thereof of them. An edge city, of course, I grew up in one. That is Katy, Texas. Katy is the city proper has a population of about 30,000 these days, but what is called the Greater Katy area, which is the part that's either in the Katy Independent School District or the Katy postal zip codes. 6 of those, they extend very far beyond the city proper. But Katy is also an economic powerhouse. It is home of the North American headquarters of BP, the oil giant. It is where Igloo coolers are made and manufactured, and the company is headquartered there. It's also a place where if you have Geico insurance and you're calling for claims, you're likely calling somebody in Katy, Texas. And Academy, the sporting goods chain, is also headquartered and based there as well. It is also a tremendous data storage hub. This is an area that has more jobs than it has residents. Population count, according to Grok, the population estimate in 2024 put the region at around 440,000 residents, which of course is large enough to be a mid-sized American city on its own, and has more jobs than that. The employment count, or what is called daytime population, is about 600,000. Speaking of daytime population, that is a component of what makes an edge city an edge city. There should be more people that are there during the daytime in employment than there are at night at home. Another prominent edge city is actually outside of Washington, D.C. It's an area called Tyson's Corner. Tremendous concentration of office buildings. More mid-rise than high-rise, unlike, Katy, which has several buildings of over 20 stories. With Tyson's Corner, you've got several mid-rise buildings that occupy large amounts of area but are not vertical. But this is also an area that has a lot of employment around government contractors and government support industries. And no, Tyson's Corner has nothing to do with the chicken company. So, I live in the Twin Cities. We have one, and it actually is a city proper. That's Bloomington. Bloomington is an edge city. It is the headquarters of the Toro Motor Company. It is also the home of the Mall of America. It is the home of many numerous companies along the Interstate 494 corridor. And as a city, has a population of a little under 90,000, and its daytime population is about double that, particularly along many of the office complexes that are along that 494 corridor that extends west from the Mall of America and the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. So yes, Bloomington is absolutely an edge city, and it is mentioned in Giroux's book. Another edge city that is also a city is Bellevue, Washington. Of course, Bellevue is on the opposite side of Lake Washington, on the east side of that lake from Seattle. Bellevue has a population of a little over 200,000, and it's not very far from the Microsoft complex, which is in neighboring Redmond. And Bellevue has a downtown skyline that rivals many major cities. So Bellevue is a classical edge city, and it is a literal city proper with its own city government as well. Houston actually has more edge cities besides Katy. You go to the north and you'll find the Woodlands, population of about 125,000. It's actually, the Woodlands is not a city proper. The Woodlands is actually, though, self-governing as part of what is called the Woodlands Township. It is not incorporated in any city, but it's an edge city, and you can look at the urban center of the Woodlands and see various taller buildings similar to Katy. And the Woodlands is headquarters to the Anadarko Petroleum Company. Another edge city to the southwest of Houston and to the south of Katy is Sugar Land. Sugar Land is named because it used to be home of imperial sugar, and sugar cane was grown in the region, and so it was the headquarters of imperial sugar. Nowadays, a larger oil support company is also headquartered in Sugar Land, and that is called Schlumberger. And so Sugar Land also has the Sugar Land Town Center, which is where many of these companies are based. Significant office building presence, similar to Tyson's Corner, in that there isn't really any vertical development, but a lot of large office building space that doesn't go vertical, but is actually rather horizontal in nature. And both Katy and Sugar Land have branches of the University of Houston, which also add an urban touch to both cities. The University of Houston at Katy, as well as the University of Houston at Sugar Land. In the case of UH Katy, it is built to support that energy employment. The Houston Energy Corridor does extend into the greater Katy area, so there is an overlap between the two, and there is a need for education in this particular field. Of course, because of Katy's situation with its larger population, it's also a substantial medical center, which UH Katy also supports in educating employment in healthcare industries. You know, I mean, Katy with 440,000 residents has 4 major hospitals. It's basically called Medical Center West relative to Houston. Of course, Houston also has the Texas Medical Center, which is substantially larger. But many of the branch campuses of Texas Medical Center hospitals and facilities are located in Katy, which would include the MD Anderson Cancer Center, has a branch in Katy, Methodist Hospital has also a hospital also in Katy. Many specialty cancer facilities are there. Texas Children's Hospital, Katy campus. And so many of these edge cities have urban facilities with urban support and infrastructure. Bloomington, Minnesota, for example, is on the blue line of Metro Transit. So the light rail line does extend from downtown Minneapolis into Bloomington through the MSP airport. So these are areas that initially began as suburbs, in many cases in the 1960s and 1970s, but have grown tremendously to become urban powerhouses and economic centers in their own right. Self-supporting islands, mini metropolises within a larger metropolis. And so this is the American phenomenon known as the Edge City. If you can think of any others, add them in the comments. I would certainly definitely appreciate hearing about those. But that is the story of the Anerican Edge City. Enjoy Friday night. I'm going to be enjoying a 4-day weekend myself. I'm going to get some stuff done, both with doctor's appointments as well as continuing to write my book. So I will see you all tomorrow, Saturday. Peace out, homies.